is Kansas Senator Roger Marshall, a member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Senator, it's good to see you today. Thanks very much for being here.
Maria, glad to be with you.
I want to talk about some of the work that you've been doing on all of this. First off, these Chinese nationals coming through the country look largely military-aged men. They look like they are creating a mini army in America. What do you think they're doing here, and what are they going to be working on?
Yeah, well, Maria, we've done some human trafficking roundtables in Kansas over the last 2 weeks, and we're seeing an explosion of human trafficking. And what your listeners need to understand is that the Chinese Triad, which is an organized crime unit, a multinational, been around for hundreds of years, is behind this. And wherever you're seeing fentanyl trafficking, you're going to see human trafficking explode as well. And this actually goes back, as I try to understand who this Chinese Triad is, it goes back to Chairman Mao when he had CCP labs starting making methamphetamine precursors. Now they're making fentanyl precursors. This Chinese mafia, the Triad, smuggles it to Mexico, and then they hand that over to the cartel, and into the United States it comes. Over the last 5 years, this Chinese Triad has monopolized money laundering. They have that down to an art now, and now we're seeing this explosion of massage parlors, which the Chinese Triad is running. So I just scratched the surface there, but it's very serious. The Chinese Triad is in charge of this human trafficking, part of this 40,000 Chinese nationals you see, but it's way more than that.
So we talked before today, and you told me that within the next 2 years, we're going to be talking more about human trafficking, or just as much as we talk about fentanyl. Tell me about these massage parlors, because you've seen a number of massage parlors, new businesses spike in just your state of Kansas. What are you seeing?
Right. So we have more massage parlors than we do Starbucks now in Kansas. And certainly I think that can be said in most every state. So this Chinese Triad, I mean, they are sophisticated. Your listeners need to understand that this is not the dirty workers like the cartel. The cartel is doing the dirty work, but the Chinese Triad is very sophisticated, Harvard-trained lawyers, Harvard-trained accountants that master the money laundering part of this. So you're going to see massage parlors spring up, and then next to them might be a restaurant, it might be a hair salon, a nail salon, those types of things. But the Chinese Triad has become an expert at money laundering, and we're going to see this organized crime just grow and grow and grow. They're smuggling people from China to Turkey. There's called snakeheads. Within the Triad is something called the snakeheads. Think of them as like coyotes, very purposeful, and like Secretary Pompeo said, no one goes in or out of China without the CCP knowing this. So they hand them over to the cartel, and the cartel brings them on into places like Kansas. They're not just working massage parlors, an explosion of what they call weed farms, marijuana farms, where the Chinese are intimately involved with those and exploiting this labor for labor trafficking.
This is just stunning, unbelievable. Now, the women that they are able to get over the border, are they now being forced to work at these massage parlors as prostitutes? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. As these snakeheads bring them across into Colombia, actually, they sneak them across the Darien Strait. And by the time they get to Panama, women as well as men are exhausted. They're willing to sell their soul to finish this journey. And that's when the snakeheads say, we'll get you the rest of the way, but this is what you have to do. Not only have they been raped and pillaged the entire trip so far, they're being told you have to sell yourself into bondage, into sex slavery. We're going to put you up at these massage parlors. The men, they're taken to these weed factories, like weed farms, like I described earlier. I suppose some of these Chinese nationals are be running this ring as well. It's very complicated, but yes, they are selling these women into sex slavery for the rest of their lives.
Well, I mean, look, you got a briefing on this. You're getting briefings on this, being a member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. I imagine if you're getting these briefings, then the White House and President Biden is aware of this. Why is nothing being done about it?
Well, again, I think that's a question we've been asking the White House for 3 years now, is why are you willing to sacrifice 300 American lives every day to fentanyl poisoning in order to get these 10,000 people across the border every day? Obviously that they think there's political gain to that. They don't recognize the national security issue. To me, these border crossings has always been a national security issue, but to the White House, this has always been an immigration issue and a political issue. So they don't have an answer.
Is this the new way that the CCP is trying to undermine America and Americans by coming up with these new businesses, massage parlors, as a front for human trafficking?
Right. So, again, Americans, we're so naive, we assume the best of people, but there is no line between illegal and legal activities by the Chinese triad, that they're, to them, they see nothing wrong with this. This is business to them. This is like American Kansas farmers growing wheat and selling it across the country as well. So to China, they're just exporting a human resource here. They're exporting the fentanyl. This is just another crop to the CCP. And again, it goes back to Chairman Mao trying to undermine America, the Opium War, revenge. This is the next chapter. So in China, you see their economy faltering, failing, propped up by the CCP. So this is their next economy. This money laundering is going to be so important that we get on top of that. I'm telling you that they're able to, we'll have an exporter, a Chinese national, exporting dollars to China, and they'll send back about, 1 cent on the dollar in exchange for that. It's very complicated, but it's the money laundering is the key to this. And we need the FBI getting back on top of this as well.
I mean, is the FBI and the CIA aware of all of this?
Maria, I have no idea. To be honest, I have not been briefed.
Well,
DHS has not briefed us on this. So this is from my sheriff's officers. This is from the local Kansas Bureau of Investigation. That's where I'm getting my information.
Okay.
But our Homeland Security Committee, not so much.
Senator, real quick on the other issues